Tonight, we're going to be talking about Joshua. Walls of Jericho. A fascinating piece of architecture. Matter of fact, so fascinating that many archaeologists have tried to find it, and they have. They have found the walls of Jericho. And here's the interesting part of what they found about the walls of Jericho. They found that the walls of Jericho have actually crumbled. There's only one reason behind that. Now we're going to take a look at some facts about the walls of Jericho here. There we go. Now the walls of Jericho consisted of two walls. There was an outside wall and an inside wall. The outer wall stood on top of a 15-foot high retaining wall. It was most likely 20 to 26 feet high itself, and it was also 6 feet thick. Then there was an inside wall. The inside wall was 12 feet thick, also standing another 20 to 26 feet high. So, total with the embankment, there was an embankment in between the two walls, and you'll see a picture here soon. Jericho, that's not big enough. Maybe you can see it.
Yeah, you can see it.
Jericho stood approximately 46 feet high. So you can imagine what the Israelites are thinking as they're looking up at this massive wall. Still not good enough.
Zoom?
Okay, but you get the idea.
That's the fan. Boom.
There it is. Even better. So now you can see the Israelites standing there at the bottom of this massive, giant wall. And they have to be wondering, how are we going to take this wall down? Because God tells them how they're going to take it down. You see, it takes faith to follow God's will, and it took faith for the Israelites to follow God's plan to knock down the walls of Jericho. God's plan. Well, let's read this verse first. Hebrews 11:30 through 31. By faith, the walls of Jericho fell, after the army had marched around them for 7 days. By faith, the prostitute Rahab, because she welcomed the spies, was not killed with those who were disobedient. So we see it was by faith, and it takes faith to march around city walls to believe they will fall down. Now here's the crazy thing about God's plan, is they had to march around the city walls once a day for 6 days. And that wasn't enough. Then the 7th day, they had to come back out and march around the walls 7 times. And what happened on that 7th day, we see in Joshua 6:15 through 16. On the 7th day, they got up at daybreak and marched around the city 7 times in the same manner, except that on that day, they circled the city 7 times. The 7th time around, when the priest sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the army, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." So they marched around 7 times that day, and all they had to do was shout. And when they shouted, the walls came crumbling down. And then they attacked the people of Jericho. Hebrews 11:1 tells us, now faith is confidence in what we hope for, and assurance about what we do not see. See, Joshua had this assurance about what he did not see. He had this assurance in God. And he had this confidence in what he hoped for. And what he hoped for was the promised land. What God has promised him this whole time. See, Joshua was around for the 40 years when they were in the desert, when they were in the wilderness. He was around for all of that. And so for what he hoped for the promised land. And that was breaking down the walls. So we know it takes faith to live for God every day. God calls us to fight against the cultural current every day. You're fighting against a lot of things right now in your lives. There's so many battles that go on in your lives. You may have anxiety. You may battle bullying. You may battle drugs or alcohol. You may battle, premarital sex. All of that. And it's a battle if you're a Christian, because here's the thing. The world tells you that what you believe isn't right. The world tells you that what you believe is wrong. So it's constantly a battle. It's a battle, a war to live for God in a world that is opposed to Him. I don't know if you've noticed lately, but the world is really starting to hate God. It's a sad thing because they don't realize what God could actually do for their lives. And there's times that we are not helping them. We're not helping them to believe in God. So we have to battle ourselves. And we have to think, how are we battling? Are we helping the ones around us believe in this God that we believe in? Now I said there's many battles that you go through in a daily life. And it's a tough life. I've been there. I've been a teenager. It's not easy. But what does God tell us about this daily life? You see, in Joshua 8:1, God says that the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. Take the whole army with you and go up and attack Ai. For I have delivered into your hands the king of Ai, his people, his city, and his land." You see, before every battle that Joshua went into, the Lord told him, "Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for I have delivered them into your hands." God is telling you the same thing every day, before every battle you go into every day. We also understand too that we're not battling the flesh and blood, we're battling the principalities and powers of the dark. So before each battle you go into, Lord is saying to you, "Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for I have delivered them into your hands." Joshua 1:9 says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." These are all promises. Again, God is saying, be strong and courageous, because I'm with you. He's not going to leave you in the moment when your battle gets to the strongest point. He's not going to leave you at that point. Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that God is going to stick closer to you. Joshua 1:5. "No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you." Another great promise. That God will never leave us, and He will never forsake us, and He will always be with you. That's a promise that He gave to Joshua, but it's not just to Joshua, it's also to us. You see, the word of the Lord is living and active, so it applies to you and me. And more proof that it takes faith to live for God every day, and more proof that He's with you, is in Psalm 139, 7-8. The psalmist writes, "Where can I go from your spirit? Where can I flee from your presence? If I go up to the heavens, you are there. If I make my bed in the depths, you are there." See, it doesn't matter where you go or how far you try to run from God, He's there. It's never God that turns His back on us, and it's never God that runs away from us. It's always us that runs away from God. So we fight these battles every single day. and it takes faith. Because what you believe in is crazy. It's not easy. I mean, it's this crazy faith that Joshua believed in when the Lord told him to just walk around the city walls and I will crumble them down for you. Joshua just said, okay, I'll do it. Because Joshua was obedient. So, what you need to ask yourselves is, what is in my life? What is the wall of Jericho in my life? What is preventing me from seeing the promised land? What is preventing me from reaching God's will for my life? You need to constantly ask yourself that, because in this life, daily, the enemy is going to try to keep you from doing God's will. It's natural. That's what he's out there for. It's what he's trying to do. He doesn't want God's will to be completed, because that would be bad for him. So, I'm going to allow you guys to go to your small groups. But I want you, as you're in your small groups, I want you to discuss. I want you to be open and truthful. Pray around each other. Be there for each other. Because the groups that you're in, they're small groups. You should be bonding as a family. You should be getting to know each other and bonding through prayer. So I want you to be open with each other about what might be hindering you and how you can better improve, to show your faith, and to reach out to those who don't yet know Jesus Christ. So you head back to your seat. The band is gonna do one last song for you guys. And I love this song because it's called History Maker, and it's about what you can do to change the world. The question I have up on the screen is, what do you battle every day, and how can you overcome it? Well, I can give the answers. 1, by faith. 2, reading the Word of God. 3, prayer. And 4, obedience. Maybe it's about sitting at the lunch table with the one kid who doesn't love to all those around you. I don't know what it is, but I want you to reflect on it at this time, and if you feel the need to come up to the cross is always there for you.
Bring out stage. There you go. That's good. Looks good. See, it's all energy.
Is it true that when people pray, cloud the sky